We made it to the weekend. Happy Friday. We're going to tell you all the news you need to know before the weekend so you don't have to worry about it. We got some news about the earth. We got some news about beaches. It's summertime, right? June. The summer has to come now, right? Please. I'm freezing out here. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started. We haven't had any caffeine, rolled out of bed, we can't read, so we apologize for any misgivings that we provide you with today's news stories. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and go into our headlines. Today on the Friday News Dump, ban smoking in beaches, parks, and near schools from July 1st, and police investigate cannabis in Haribo sweets after Twente family raised the alarm.
And this is right from the United States, where NASA sounds the alarm of a massive planetary anomaly spreading beneath Earth's crust.
UK faces water rationing like the Mediterranean without new reservoirs.
And world financial markets welcome court ruling against Diaper Donnie's tariffs. And we will eulogize rock and roll star Rick Derringer.
In culture news, La Boo Boo. Has the TikTok-led obsession over these creepy dolls gone too far?
And it's National Creativity Day. And I did not just make that up. It is National Creativity Day in May 30th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
They always give us a lot of days on Friday so that we can celebrate as many things as possible over the weekend.
Oh no, it's only 5 things. We
definitely had days where it was like 7 or 10 things, and it's like, okay, we get it. 5. Do that stuff. Do that stuff now.
It's National Loomis Day. I don't know what Loomis is, but it seems like it's a teletype related thing. There's a bunch of these it's a bunch of teletype keys, sitting there and the things you tap on.
I see. Well, let's roll our first segue from today. I have 2 stories. One's really short, so you don't have to do a segue for that one. It's like basically just a notification.
So what is it?
So
what's the segue?
You rolled a limerick. Write me a limerick about cannabis in your Haribo treats. Okay? Because that's the big news in this section. The France thing is like no smoking, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the first one?
Cannabis in Haribo sweets.
Oh, your gummies. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Our first story is coming out of France. This is on Le Monde by AFP. Health Minister Catherine Vautrin announced that smoking, but not electric cigarettes, will be banned in all outdoor public spaces where children may be present, except for cafe terraces with a possible €135 in fines. France will ban smoking in all outdoor places that can be frequented by children, such as beaches, parks, and bus stops, the Health and Family Minister said in an interview published on Thursday, May 29th. Tobacco must disappear where there are children, Catherine Vautrin said in an interview published by the regional daily newspaper Ouest France on its website. The freedom to smoke stops where children's right to breathe clean air starts, she said. That's right. The thing about rights is that they can't overlay on somebody else's rights. So children have a right for clean air. You don't have a right to dirty their air. The restrictions will enter into force on July 1st and will include all places where children could be, such as beaches, parks, public gardens, outside of schools, bus stops, and sports venues, she said. Violators could be fined up to €135 or $154, she said. Cafe terraces will be excluded from the ban, which will also not extend to electronic cigarettes, she said. Some 75,000 people are estimated to die from tobacco-related complications each year in France. According to a recent opinion survey, 6 out of 10 French people favor banning smoking in public places. Hey, that's pretty good for Europe. Because there's a lot of European cities that are just smoke everywhere. And for some reason, the Zoomers are bringing it back. Because I guess they missed out on the 90s and the 80s, so they want to experience that themselves by getting lung cancer. But unfortunately, the thing with public smoking, right, is that you're not just giving yourself lung cancer, you're giving everyone else around you lung cancer, because secondhand smoke is more dangerous than firsthand smoke because it doesn't even go through a filter. It just comes right out the end. And then you wonder why I have a nicotine addiction, because so many people smoked around me when I was a kid. So I love the smell of secondhand smoke, but that's bad because I'll get lung cancer. In more drug news, this is coming out of the Netherlands. This is a big news on the social media right now, so I have to cover it because I need to know the details. I need to share the details with you. This is coming out of, I guess, Twente. Police investigate cannabis in Haribo. Cannabis was found in a Haribo candy that was recalled on Wednesday, which is I don't even know how this can happen, but the 28th of May. A family from Twente called the police after their young children became quite ill. Police are investigating how the cannabis ended up in a kilo bag of Happy Cola Fizz. So these are the Coca-Cola shaped Haribo gummies that, are fizzy when you put them in your mouth. Family from Twente went to police with an open bag of the candy after their young children had become quite ill. The police had the candy examined by their own forensic investigation. They discovered traces of cannabis and alerted the Netherlands Food Consumption Product Authority, NVWA. It led to a recall of the kilo bags of Happy Cola Fizz with an expiration date of January 2026. Oh man, I need to go to Spar right now, see if we can find some. I think they've probably already been recalled. Bags have the production code L341-400-230-7906. In the meantime, more people, including adults, appear to have become sick from the sweets. The investigation has now been designated as a so-called drug investigation. We want to know exactly how this got into the candy, says police spokesperson Chantal Westerhoff, and how the bags ended up in the store. She praises the family, who according to her acted well and alertly by going to the police. Yeah, I know, especially advocates for cannabis will say, weed is not harmful at all, and that's true, but it's definitely harmful for kids. Kids should not be consuming any amount of THC, especially since we know that it now limits your brain growth and development. So you're going to have, somebody stuck at being 6 years old because they had THC when they were young. Definitely very dangerous to give it to children. It can also cause some very worrying effects like slowing down of breathing, going into almost like a coma-like state because, you're not used to your kids being passed out high. Adults, that's normal. Oh, I'm tired and let me smoke some and lay on the couch. Children should not be doing that. Children are supposed to be active and running around and having fun. The Netherlands Forensic Institute is investigating the cola bottles. In this way, the police and the Public Prosecution Service hope to find out what type of cannabis is in the sweets and whether they might contain other substances. Yeah, imagine if you put fentanyl or something in it. That would be awful. But how does cannabis even get mixed in? Maybe Haribo has a secret THC gummy side and they got mixed up. I don't know. It is still unclear what the size of the contaminated batch of candy is. According to the NVWA, 3 bags of contaminated cola bottles have been found so far. Haribo itself is also still in the dark about what happened to the contaminated batch of sweets. We are taking this incident extremely seriously, says a spokesperson for the Dutch office. The investigation concerns a limited number of reports on one specific product in the east of the country. As precaution, they have started a recall. The manufacturer told Bild, the German consumer, no need to worry. The incident is limited to the Netherlands, the magazine wrote. How do they know that? I mean, it's just, we are in an open trade system. I could sell you some Dutch Haribo easily. Consumers are asked by the candy manufacturer not to return the product to the store, but send it to the company. They will then receive the purchase price back. According to Haribo, packaging with other production codes can be safely consumed. This also applies to the other Haribo products. That's so interesting. So this one specific, okay, we're making some fizzy cola today, and somehow in that factory, somebody dropped some THC on a select few Haribo gummies, and you got the lucky package? But, That's exciting. There's a lot of comments on the bottom of this article, you know.
Let's hear them.
A kilo bag of candy. That is asking for trouble on all levels. Leftover from buyers. Ditto. This is from Den Bosch. But in the meantime, the latest Samsung phone every year, and don't forget HBO, Netflix, and Disney, because you can't do without them. And of course, your cigarette and your beer, and then a pound of strawberries is too expensive. But hey, we've got weed in our candy.
All right, so I've got my 2 limericks.
Okay.
They were long enough. Okay, the first one. If you want to light up in Nice, nobody will give you any peace. If you light up a butt, your privilege will be shut, and your puffing and blowing will cease.
No
next
beach
one.
slams for you.
The one about the Haribos containing THC. Willy Wonka wondered why Haribo barely has to try to sell their candy. Munchies became very demandy, so Willy now sells only pie. Anyway.
Only moon pies. From
right.
Willy
These
Wonka.
guys get the munchies. They don't want candy. They want something bigger and sloppier. Let's sell them pie. Anyway, there's your tortured.
Okay, let's get our next segue wheel and go on to your story.
Turn the page on that one.
My favorite, mixed metaphor.
All right, you just got, I guess we're doing 2 stories. No, we're doing stories. First, we'll do the NASA story first. It's longer. Sustainability Times. I don't need my glasses for this because it's up on the big screen. Sustainability Times. NASA sounds the alarm. This is from Hina Dinu with 2 O's. NASA sounds the alarm. Massive planetary anomaly detected spreading worldwide. Traced unknown forces between Earth's cusp. It's called the South Atlantic Anomaly, if you've never heard of it. South Atlantic Anomaly has emerged as a focal point of scientific intrigue and concern. The vast region of weakened magnetic field over South America and South Atlantic Ocean presents a unique challenge for NASA and the global scientific community. Originating from complex process within the Earth's core, the SAA is not only a fascinating natural phenomenon, but also a critical area of study due to its potential impact on space technology. As the anomaly evolves, it becomes imperative to understand its mechanisms and anticipate the challenges it presents to our technological infrastructure. In the heart of NASA's concerns lies the South Atlantic Anomaly, the SAA, a geometric phenomenon both captivating and concerning. This immense region is characterized by a significant reduction in magnetic intensity compared with its surroundings. Far from being a mere scientific curiosity, this weakness acts as a breach in our natural protective shield, allowing high-energy solar particles to dangerously approach Earth's surface. The origins of the SAA are intricately linked to the geodynamo, a complex process occurring in Earth's outer core. Here, the movement of molten iron and nickel generates a magnetic field that envelops us. However, the generation is not uniform. It probably couldn't be. It's kind of like the tides aren't uniform either, right? They're always pulling and pushing.
Of course. Nature doesn't have a pattern like that. That accurate.
Yeah. We wish. This is why we get volcanoes, I'm pretty sure. Because of all the differences in the levels of magnetic activity. 2 primary factors contribute to the formation of the SAA, the tilt of Earth's magnetic axis relative to its rotational axis, and the influence of massive dense structure known as the African Large Low Shear Velocity Province, or the ALLSVP. I just rolled that off. Located about 1,800 miles beneath the African continent. These factors disrupt the magnetic field generation in this region, leading to local polarity reversal within Earth's magnetic field, further weakening the dipole field intensity in this specific area. I think Earth's magnetic north moving is, again, this is all part of the same process.
Maybe,
right,
yeah.
This
would be the first time we're watching it happen, right? Last time it happened, we weren't even in existence, so...
Ironically, we can. I'm pretty sure to use the space satellites for this, and this is one of these places and over Earth where it's not good for satellites to go into because of all the magnetic interference. Anyway, a magnetic vulnerability poses significant risks. I was about to just say that, and here it is in the paragraph. Anyway, significant risks to space technology. Satellites traversing the SAA are exposed to high levels of energetic protons, which can cause signal event upsets, or SEUs. They have an acronym for that. We had another SEU today. Oh crap! Where's my book of acronyms? Something stupid. Anyway. These incidents can lead to temporary malfunctions, data corruption, or even permanent damage if critical systems are affected. So you can be spanking them satellites. To mitigate these risks, many satellite operators take preventative measures, such as shutting down non-essential systems when passing through the anomaly. Even the International Space Station, ISS, crosses the SAA on each orbit. While its shielding effectively protects astronauts, external instruments remain more vulnerable. We think
a lot of radiation up there.
This nonsense about is protecting the astronauts, yeah, to a certain extent, but I'm not sure they're all that safe. I mean, Sally Ride died of cancer when she was 61. That's all, you know. I mean, that happens to a lot of people, but yeah, I'm just saying. I think they're totally exposed to ultraviolet rays and everything. Ultraviolet, gamma rays, everything. And the shielding on the space station is probably good, but it's not permanent.
It has to wear down, right? They have to replace it.
Anyway, Brian Blair, deputy principal investigator for the Jetty instruments in the ISS, reports occasional glitches and resets, resulting in a few hours of data loss each month. Other missions like Ionospheric Connection Explorer, Iconic Sphere, it's not Iconic Sphere. Anyway, also closely monitor the SAA and adjust their operations accordingly. The South Atlantic anomaly is far from static. Recent data, particularly from the ESA's Swarm constellation and historical measurements from NASA's SAMPEX mission, confirm several alarming trends. The anomaly is slowly drifting northwest, expanding in surface area, and is observed since 2020, beginning to split into two distinctive lobes, creating two centers of minimum magnetic intensity. This bifurcation, I love that word, bifurcation, increases the number of hazardous zones for spacecraft and complications. The task of scientists developing predictive models of geomagnetic conditions. Understanding the changing morphology of the SAA is critical for the safety of current future satellites. As Terry Sabaka of NASA's emphasized, these developments necessitate continuous monitoring and adaptation in satellite operations to mitigate potential disruptions. To refine their understanding and predictions, NASA combines satellite data with simulations of Earth's core dynamics. These inputs feed global models like the International Geometric Reference Field, or the IGRF, which track the evolution of Earth's magnetic field. These models are essentially not only for planning space missions, but also for gaining better grasp of our planet's internal structure. The approach resembles weather forecasting, but on much longer timescales, allowing scientists to estimate the secular variation, the slow yet persistent changes in the magnetic field over years and years. While the current evolution of the SAA is unprecedented in its space era, geological records suggest that such anomalies are not exceptional over long timescales. Well, of course not. Just because we recently discovered it, it just started happening. I mean, come on. All scientists know that something they just discovered didn't just start happening. I mean, you gotta know that, right? It is important to note that, according to scientists, the current SAA is not only an early indicator of magnetic polar reversal, a natural but rare phenomenon occurring over hundreds of thousands of years. Natural but rare, of course. It's like they're saying. Anyway, never mind. Thus, studying the SAA remains a vital research area. Well, I'm just saying, if it's always moving, how is it rare? It just blows my mind. According to the science, right? Yeah, pole reversal is rare, but if it's always moving, it ain't that rare. It's like, I walk across the street every day, but getting there is rare. Yeah. The walking part is most of your time. You get there, you're there, now you walk back. That's the same principle. Sorry if I stole your metaphor. Anyway.
No, it's a mixed metaphor.
It is important.
So you didn't steal anything yet.
You can throw it in the mixer. It is important to note that, according to the scientists, the current SAA is not an early indicator of magnetic pole reversal, natural rare. I read that already. Thus, studying the SAA remains a vital research area, crucial for protecting our orbiting technologies and deepening our understanding of profound forces driving our planet. That's about it. There ain't much more. One more paragraph. It says they're going to be vigilant, but yeah, we get it. You're watching the sky. That's what you do. You're NASA. Or you watch from the sky. You watch the sky.
We're watching something move, and we can see it from space.
Right.
My metaphor for this story is, let's not count our blessings with one leg in the coffin.
Okay, let's not.
It'll be fine. We have to worry about other things, I think. We can't really stop this, and even if we wanted
to find out none of this crap's going to affect us, except every once in a while, one of your satellites is going to blink out or get destroyed. Other than that, you're being great.
Well,
yeah, right.
That's the risk you take by putting stuff in space. Our
That's
next
right.
segue is an alliteration headline. We're going to talk about, well, speaking of one leg in the coffin, water rationing in the UK, of all places. Yep. Not the warm Mediterranean, which has already been in water rationing, but the very moderately cold, sometimes hot UK. This is by Will Durant on The Independent. Britain faces water rationing like we have in the Mediterranean without new reservoirs, the water minister has warned. Emma Hardy has suggested water shortages could hit households and businesses in the next decade if the government fails to build new artificial lakes, as she unveiled plans to speed up the planning approvals process. The government has unveiled plans to legislate to bring reservoirs into the national significant planning category, giving ministers instead of local councils the final say on whether projects can go ahead. Ah, yes, the local council. If anybody knows anything about British local councils, it's kind of like, lowest level of government attracts the most power-hungry of people, okay? I guess. They will say no to anything. Oh, you can't do that because of a law from 1812 that says donkeys are not allowed to be in the same farm as llamas. Why is there a law from 1812 for this? And who cares? My llama's not affecting anybody. Well, 2 of your neighbors complained, so now it's a serious local issue, you know. It's what are they called? The housing neighborhoods where you've got those people telling you what you can do with your yard. It's like that in America.
Assholes. They're called assholes.
Just like they will literally tell you every little step you're allowed to make in your house, in your yard, and everything in your land that you own. We're the local council.
We're the local
but now they
want
to bypass. They want to bypass the small local councils with the big ministers saying, yeah, go ahead, build a reservoir. Otherwise, everyone's going to have no water. And then all the plants will die and all the animals will die. Environment Secretary Steve Reed has also intervened to designate 2 projects as nationally significant in Cambridgeshire and Lincolnshire. Yeah, Homeowners Association. Thank you, Amlin. Local councils are like a homeowners association, really. As far as I've heard, I obviously have never lived under a local council, but how people talk about them, it's like, okay, dude, we get it. You have nothing else going in your life. You gotta bother me with you left the trash cans out past 2 p.m. So we're gonna fine you for that. Thank you. We have a problem in our country where we're not going to have all of the drinking water that we need by the mid-2030s because we simply haven't built the reservoirs required, Miss Hardy told GB News. She added, that's because the last government failed to get the infrastructure and the planning process was just way too complicated and bureaucratic. So what we're doing is we're taking control of building the reservoirs from the local planning authorities, putting the power into the hands of the Secretary of State so he can power through and deliver these. Because if we don't, by the 2030s, we're going to be looking at water rationing like we have in the Mediterranean, and that's unacceptable. I mean, they're surrounded by water, for God's sakes. Imagine being an island and running out of water. It's all over the place.
Right?
I know it's a little harder to actually change salt water into fresh water, but it's actually very expensive to do that, desalinate water. But it is kind of sad that we're getting into that zone in the UK, right? We're running out of water. Just funnel it in somewhere. I don't know. Italian and Spanish authorities are among those which restricted water use last year, according to Associated Press, with Catalonia facing a drought emergency when water reserves fell below 60%. Of course, Italy and Spain and the rest of the Mediterranean has the Mediterranean Sea there as well. But it's not that easy, right? You can't just get the water out of there. And there's people who live far, far inland, far away from any water. And they are getting to that rationing restriction, which means, start bathing in the wild water. You don't want to shower too much. You want to be able to have some water for your soup later. In England this year, the Environmental Agency has found that the Northwest and the Northeast both saw their driest start to the calendar year since 1929. Wow, we're breaking records. While the country as a whole endured its driest February to April period since 1956. Miss Hardy had earlier told Times Radio that changing how authorities green light reservoirs could unlock tens of thousands of new homes, and we can make sure that everybody has the drinking water that they desperately need. She said, there are other things that we need to do to make sure that we are having the drinking water that we need, and one of the other actions that we're taking is the £104 billion record investment that's going into the water sector. It will help reduce leaks from pipes by up to 17%, but another really important action that's needed just to make sure that everybody has the water that they need, because it's not just about building homes as well. We need water for growth. There are projects up and down the country where businesses are crying out for extra water that they need to make sure that they can get on with growing our economy. So this is really important announcement, and it's a beautiful win for nature as well. Yeah, because plants need water too. Asked about reservoir projects' impact on water bills, Ms. Hardy said that £104 billion was a private investment, and added that bills have already increased. She said, I can completely understand why people are furious and angry about that, because it's like with any issue that you find, you fix a problem when you first notice it, it doesn't cost you much, as if you leave it to get under worse and worse, and then you try to fix it, and that's what we're under the Conservatives. They left the problems to get worse and worse. Water companies in England have committed to bringing new reservoirs online by 2050 in Lincolnshire, Cambridgeshire, Oxfordshire, Somerset, Suffolk, Kent, East Sussex, and the West Midlands. The potential to supply 670 million litres of extra water per day. The Fen Reservoir project between Chartres and March in Cambridgeshire is set to supply 87 million litres a day to 250,000 homes, and to be completed in 2036. The Lincolnshire Reservoir south of Sleaford would provide up to 166 million litres a day, up to 500,000 homes, operational by 2040. But yep, it takes a long time to store that water, to get that water, and probably they're also what I'm saying, right? They're changing salinated water in desalinating, which costs a lot of money. I think you have to use electrolysis or something to make the sand have an electric chemical reaction, or I guess in this way, ionic reaction. You get the salt out of the water. You have to make sure it's all clean and good to drink, because that's what this is all for, drinking water. As we've talked about many times on Before Coffee, they're having a bit of a problem with sewage in the water, especially in South England. So you got to make sure that water's clean. Man. You don't want sewage in your water. And also, talking back to the series you introduced me to, the man who was, I think his name, what was his name again? It was a funny name.
Hey, not good in
It's Pratt. Ed Pratt, I think is his name.
Yeah, Pratt. There you go. That's right.
It's like his last name's Pratt. Right. Great last name. He was walking. He has done it. It's already happened, but he went from the head of the Thames all the way to the end of the Thames into the ocean, and he was raising money to help water, not just the Thames, but all water in the UK, making the water clean, making it healthy. Because if we have healthier water, we can also pull off of water sources inland and not have to spend so much money making it safe to drink, right? If it's already clean to begin with. I know here in the Netherlands, they take water very seriously, of course, because half of the country's underwater. but also we make sure it's clean, it's taken care of. I know
Every
my water
molecule
that I
is
drink
done
out of
for
my
it.
faucet, my tap water is coming out of the local canals here. So you want to make sure those are clean because I don't want to be drinking, an oil spill when I turn on my tap water. So there's your news about water in the UK. And hopefully you can get these reservoirs built so we don't have to go into rationing in 2030.
All right. My alliteration headline is Party Helps Humans Hydrate. Because the lady's name was...
Oh, really? I was
the
expecting like a
administrator-
20-line alliteration. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a Friday.
Yeah,
Hey,
just
you're allowed to relax.
ran out of steam. 4. The minimum was 3. I went over the minimum. I'm like the what's that show? Office Space, where Jennifer Aniston has to wear all the flair at the place she works. She has to wear all those buttons, and the supervisor's like, you're only wearing 14 pieces of flair. She's like, that's all you require. Well, what's his ass over there? Wears 72. Well, if you want me to wear 72, then require 72. Don't require 14. Right? And then she quits the job. That's a pretty good movie, Office Space, right? So yeah,
it's a classic.
I've done one above the minimum, so I'm good.
All right, segue wheel.
Going on to
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical for the world financial markets is we're going to do 2 stories. So we're going to talk about the NPR.org. This actually is from the Associated Press. World Financial Markets welcome court ruling against Trump's tariffs. That's right. Pinky the Clown loses in court again. Financial markets love it when Trump loses. Have you noticed that? There seems to be a correlation. Whenever Trump does something that everybody doesn't like, the stock markets crash, basically. Financial markets go into the tank. And when somebody comes out against Trump, they rise up again. More than just a coincidence. Financial markets welcome the U.S. court ruling that blocks Diaper Donnie Trump from imposing sweeping tariffs on imports under emergency powers law. U.S. futures jumped early Thursday and oil prices jumped more than $1. The U.S. dollar rose against the yen and the euro. The court found that the 1977 International Emergency and Economic Powers Act, which Trump has cited as his basis for ordering massive increases in import duties, does not authorize use of tariffs. The White House immediately appealed, and it was unclear if Diaper Donnie would abide by the ruling in the interim because he's a criminal. The long-term outcome of legal disputes over tariffs remain uncertain, but investors appeared to take heart after months of turmoils brought on by convicted felon Trump's trade war. The future of the S&P 500, the Standard & Poor's 500, which is a stock market index in the United States, was up 1.5%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 1.2%. In early trading, Germany's DAX gained 0.5%, and we're to 24,000 something. The CAC 40 in Paris jumped 0.9 to 7,800 and something. Britain's FTSE was nearly unchanged at 8,700 and something. I'm not going to give you exact numbers. It's silly because they change like 2 seconds after you read them. Like almost, you know what I mean? Japan's Nikkei 225 index jumped 1.9 to 38,400 and so forth. America's largest ally in Asia has been appealing to Trump to cancel the tariffs he has ordered on imports from Japan and also to stop 25% tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos. Well, they've been declared illegal anyway, so they should be stopping. I don't know who's not stopping them, but yeah. And of course, the people that are getting screwed by this, and nobody mentions this, it isn't these financial markets. It's not these rich people trading stocks. Who gives a shit about them? I don't. It's just an example of Trump's manipulating the markets. But the people that are really getting screwed are the importers. And I don't really feel sorry about capitalists because they take something for $10 and they charge you $50. But they're don't know whether to charge the tariffs onto the consumer or not, right? Because they don't know if they're going to stand up because we got an illegal president who does things where, the court's against me, I don't care, I'm just going to do it anyway. Dip, 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 dip. screw everybody else.
Right now, I don't know if you've heard this. I'm sure they talk about it, but Trump is going to a UN conference in the Netherlands, I think next week. And there's a lot of Dutch people on the internet going, hey, somebody arrest him while he's there.
Yeah, isn't there not a arrest warrant for him?
Right there,
Unfortunately,
guys.
Trump is not a war criminal. That's the one thing he's not, a war criminal.
Yet, yeah. Hopefully never.
Yeah,
Hopefully
one
never.
thing he's got going for him.
I'm not going to wish war crimes on anybody. I don't care who it is.
He's just best buds with the war criminals, but he's not one himself. Yeah. He's best buds with your Putins and your Netanyahus. All right, a 3-judge panel ruled on several lawsuits arguing Trump exceeded his authority, casting doubt on the trade policies that have jolted global financial markets, frustrated trade partners, and raised uncertainty of the outlook of inflation and global economy. I'm just going to go ahead and say these people are going to charge the tariffs anyway because they don't want to lose money. Because if they don't charge the tariffs to consumers, they're going to have to eat that cost when the tariffs apply. So, a lot of companies raised their prices in advance of the tariffs, just in anticipation of that, right? Not because of the taxes, just anticipating it. That's the core of this. They're just going to say, well, we'll get ahead of the curve. We'll make some money now, and maybe we can get it back later. Many of Trump's double-digit tariff hikes are paused up for 90 days to allow time for trade negotiations, but the uncertainty they cast over global commerce is stymied business. Of course, we're already in a recession. Don't fool yourself. First quarter of America in the United States, the GDP dropped 0.3%. The first slide since 2022, when we were coming out of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Just when traders thought they'd seen every twist in the tariff saga, the gavel and the gravel dropped like a lightning bolt over the Pacific. Stephen Ennis of SPI Asset Management said in a commentary, the ruling was at least a brief respite before the next thunderclap. Elsewhere in Asia, Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 1.3% to go up to 23,500, while the Shanghai Composite Index, in China of course, gained 0.7 to 3,363. Australia's S&P ASX 200 gained 0.2%, not a big gain, at 8,400. And South Korea, which like Japan relies on heavy exports in the U.S., the Kospi surged 1.9% to 2,720. Shares also were helped by the Bank of Korea's decision to cut its key interest rate to 2.5 from 2.75 to ease pressure on the economy. Why are we cutting interest rates? Probably because the inflation is low there, and they don't want to get runaway inflation, or they don't want to get runaway. What is it? They do that. They cut interest rates because interest rates. I'm sorry, they don't want to get unemployment. They don't want unemployment to go up.
Yeah.
That's usually why they cut interest rates, because
they don't want anyone to be unemployed, but they also don't want to pay anybody actual living wages. So it's like, yeah, no one's unemployed, but still people can't afford anything. Who cares?
They'll raise it, right? They'll raise interest rates to stop inflation, and they'll cut interest rates to spur the economy, to spur growth, and so. On Wednesday, U.S. stocks cooled, so it didn't really do that much great long-term benefit. It's just a couple people here and there making profits. Taiwan's TAIEX edged 1.1% lower, and India's Sensex lost 0.2%. On Wednesday, U.S. stocks cooled, with the S&P 500 down 0.6%, but still within 4.2% of its record after charging higher amid hopes that the worst of the turmoil. These rich people are full of shit. The worst of the turmoil caused by Trump's trade war may have passed. You people are insane. It has been roughly 20%.
Maybe for you. Maybe we're rich people, yeah.
Yeah, they've taken all the profits they're going to take out of the stock market. Is that what they're saying now? Maybe it won't be. Right?
We've made all the money we can make.
Lost, and of course, the stock market went right back to cooling. The Dow Industrials lost 0.6%, and NASDAQ fell 0.5%. Trading was relatively quiet ahead of a quarterly earnings release for NVIDIA, which came after markets closed. NVIDIA, the AI giant. The bellwether for artificial intelligence, overcame a wave of tariff-driven turbulence to deliver another quarter of robust growth thanks to feverish demand for its high-powered jets that are making computers seem more human. Sorry, they're not making my computer seem more human. Although I do argue with my computer. I always argue with inanimate objects. It's just my own psychotic episodes. The bond market showed relatively little reaction after the Federal Reserve released the minutes from its latest meeting earlier this month, when it left benchmark for lending rate alone for the third straight time, which tells you that inflation is not going away. The central bank has been holding off on cuts to interest rates, which would give the economy a boost amid worries about inflation staying higher because Trump's sweeping tariffs. In other dealings Thursday, the yield on 10-year Treasury rose from 4.5 to 4.47 late Wednesday. The U.S. benchmark crude gained $1.06 to $62.90 per barrel. Brent crude, the international standard, added $1 to $165.32 per barrel. And again, the oil company is getting filthy rich in our backs, because I remember oil being $65 a barrel. 20 years ago, gas was $1.50. So I don't know why oil is cheaper and gas is more expensive. I imagine it's all getting tied up in profits. So once again, there's your financial markets, and we got one more story. You got a segue for me, or do I have to wait for the last
hypothetical
second?
about? Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, right?
Mm-hmm.
If all the dangers of the tariffs are over, right? Everything should just return back to normal, whatever normal is, according to these people right on this article. It's all over, guys. Normal? We're through it. We're through the end.
It'll never be bad again.
Yep.
Optimistic for one day.
I'm sure he'll never drop 15 more tariffs in order to also destroy the economy. I was seeing this, whatever, a talking head thing. And not the band, just like a dude who talks, right? And they were saying that Trump's historically, as a person, as a businessman, truly believes tariffs work. That's his economic value.
He doesn't understand what
tariffs
they are.
Do something useful, and they totally fix everything if you just tariff everything. So that's why he's doing it. It's he's not some sort of maniacal emperor of Star Wars or something. He literally has had this plan forever, right? Yeah, just drop tariffs. I've always said that. Even when he was a Democrat, he was saying, drop tariffs. Yeah, that'll fix it. Because we all know that Trump's a great businessman and he's never had any failed businesses or anything at all.
Right. But again, tariffs are traditionally a Democratic policy. So the thing is, Republicans have always been anti-tariff. Now they're all completely against their own economic
standings.
The stuff they try to tell us. The stuff they try to tell us that works, right? Well, free trade works. And I'm like, what? You're kind of right, because free trade, even though it drives wages down in other countries, we get stuff a lot cheaper, and it works for us, right? Even though the humanitarian ain't that great. But it's the truth. It does actually work. Tariffs, on the other hand, they clamp down on free trade, and people just say, I'm not going to pay these tariffs, right? Anyway, I want to pass them on to the consumer. Next story. I was going to say, you talked about apathetic. Is that what you said?
Apathetic?
I thought that was the word you said. People are apathetic about it. Anyway, let's get on to the next story. AP News. This is a obituary, as we lost another rock and roll star, as your classic rock and roll stars are all hitting 80 real soon. We've lost Rick Derringer, if you've never heard of him. Rick Derringer's played for a lot of bands, didn't get a lot of credit, but he did have one big hit, and he's one of your one-hit wonders, so we're going to remember him. Guitarist singer Rick Derringer dies at 77.
Not even 80.
From AP News. We just keep reminding people that Donald Trump is older than this guy, and this guy just, he's playing cards with the Grim Reaper. Guitarist and singer Rick Derringer, who shot to fame at 17 when his band The McCoys recorded Hang On Sloopy, if you know that song, had a hit. And he had, you don't know it? It was a big hit. Actually, I
wasn't alive, so maybe that helps. I wasn't listening to the radio in the womb.
Well, it was in the 60s, and I think this record company had hit song. They just need somebody to sing it that was better than the original singer, so they gave it to the McCoys, and McCoys had a hit with it. And they were an actual rock band playing instruments, but all they added to this song was the vocals, right? And they got I probably didn't make any money off it, just a one-time studio gig, right? Anyway, He also had a hit with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, one-hit wonder, as you want to call
I
him.
do know that
and
one.
earned a Grammy Award. And earned a Grammy Award for producing Weird Al Yankovic's debut album. I bet you didn't know that. We have Rick Derringer to thank for Weird Al's skyrocketing to fame. He was 77. Derringer died Monday in Almond Beach, Florida, according to a Facebook announcement from his caregiver, Tony Wilson. No cause of death was announced. This is written by Ed Donahue, by the way. Derringer's decades in music industry spanned teen stardom, session work for bands like Steely Dan, playing guitar solo on Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart, and producing for Cyndi Lauper. Derringer's legacy extends beyond his music, entertaining fans with his signature energy and talent. His passing leaves a void in the music world and will deeply be missed by fans, colleagues, and loved ones, Wilson wrote. As a teen, he formed the McCoys with his brother Randy and found fame singing Hang On Sloopy, a number 26 hit about lovers from different socioeconomic circumstances. I thought that was a number 1 hit. I gotta look that up. That seems a little low. Derringer enjoyed his first solo hit. I mean, it was on the radio all the time. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Derringer enjoyed his first solo hit with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, which he used in the 4th session, which was used in the 4th season of Stranger Things. There might be where you've heard Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo and Stranger Things.
Maybe other people, but I heard it from you because you played it a lot when I was a kid. I remember that much.
Because you know why? Because I had the soundtrack for the movie Dazed and Confused, and it was on. So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that album. It was all funny looking.
Yeah, it was slow. Yeah, Slow Ride. Jim Dandy is on there. Anyway, his best charting album was All American Boy in 1973, which included the instrumentals Joyride and Time Warp. His sole Grammy was for Yankovic's Eat It, which had the Michael Jackson parodies Eat It and Who's Fat. Gotta love it, man.
Who's Fat?
Produced Weird Al. That's right. Produced Weird Al Yankovic. Just one of these guys that just was in rock and roll and you didn't notice him, but you definitely appreciated him. I was very sad to say that my friend, rock guitar legend Rick Derringer, passed, Yankovic said in an Instagram post, with a photo of him and Derringer in the studio. Rick produced my first 6 albums and played guitar in my earliest recordings, including the solo on Eat It, which everybody said was Eddie Van Halen. Ha 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 ha, it's not Eddie Van Halen. I got you all. It's that other dead guitarist. He had an enormous impact on my life and will be missed greatly. I'm sorry for my crude humor, but yeah. I'm just saying, everybody told me, that's really Eddie Van Halen playing on Eat It, because he played on the Michael Jackson Beat It song, right? Nope, it's Rick Derringer copying him note for note. That's who it is. Throughout the 1970s, 80s, Derringer worked extensively as a session musician, playing on albums by Steely Dan, including Counting on Ecstasy, Katy Lied, and Gaucho, Todd Rundgren, Kiss, and Barbra Streisand. He played on Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All. He was never out of work, is what I'm saying. You may think, oh yeah, how sad he was a one-hit wonder. Well, dude was never out of work, so that's not that sad at all. In the mid-1980s, he began working with Lauper, touring with her band, and playing on 3 of her albums, including the hit True Colors. He toured with Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band. In 1985, he produced the World Wrestling Federation's The Wrestling Album, which consisted mostly of pro wrestlers' theme songs, many of which he co-wrote, including what would become Hulk Hogan's theme song, Real American. Well, Hulk Hogan's about as real American as my underwear. But, Hulk Hogan's just a fascist-licking scumbag.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your... I'm just saying... I didn't mean to drag Hulk Hogan at the end, but Hulk Hogan's a real American, and I don't know what the hell I am, right? Because that guy is a fascist-licking scumbag. If you want to know about Hulk Hogan, listen to Jesse the Body Ventura's take on him, because when the wrestlers are trying to unionize, Hulk Hogan just kept running to management behind their backs over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. As John Mellencamp said, some people, they ain't no damn good. You can't trust them, you can't love them. Anyway. That's Hulk Hogan. So we are eulogizing Rick Derringer, who probably didn't give a crap about Hulk Hogan's stupidity when he wrote the song. He was just doing it for a paycheck, right? There's your story. Hopefully it reminds you of a song, but that wasn't what you spawned.
No. And that would be easy because you give me 2 songs in there.
I can give you a bunch. I can give you a bunch more. I give you more than two.
I mean, was he actually up to anything? You know, was he just like a retired musician, or was he in the middle of doing anything? Did they say?
77. Not everybody's Bob Dylan, right?
Yeah, well,
some people just go. I'm happy with my royalties. I'm happy with my royalties. I'm happy for all the content I put up. I'm sure he attached his name to a few songs out there to get royalties. And again, if you're an in-demand studio musician and you can still play, you're never going to be out of work. But again, now we got AI making music for us, so we don't need anything, right?
Yeah, he's probably hypothetically, he was probably just having a life, restful life. You know, he didn't die suddenly. He didn't die tragically. He just died.
Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it for the drugs. He wasn't in it for necessarily the fame, because again, he could have been a bigger star than he already was. With a name like Rick Derringer, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, even my brain is like, I must know somebody called that. That sounds like somebody.
It's not his real last name. It's not his real last name. It's a slight variation of it. But still, I mean, I thought Rick Derringer had more hits, and I looked up, just Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, which he recorded with the Edgar Winter Group when he was part of the Edgar Winter Group. It's on one of their albums, and he re-recorded it for his solo album. So anyway, everybody wrote it, so it's his song. He can do whatever he wants to with it. Anyway, there's your, I guess you did your hypothetical. Let's go on to the next story.
I did. So let's roll the next segue.
And I did send you this.
Yeah.
I did send you this copyrighted video, so living on the edge. We don't care. Take your copyright strikes and stick them up your.
I have received it. All right, our next story is our culture segment, which we're going to be talking about.
Segue.
Oh yeah, your segue is haiku. We're talking about the Labubu craze. You've probably seen some TikToks or shorts about these fuzzy dolls, and it happens, I think, every couple of decades. Somebody releases something, and there's a huge craze, and everyone starts collecting them. Maybe the 2010s was I don't know what the 2010s was. Let me know what you think, the different collection crazes that have happened over the last few decades. So, this is on Your News Culture by Amber Louise Bryce. Fluffy, small, and a little bit scary, Labubu bag charms are the latest collection craze on TikTok. So why are sales being paused in the UK? What's happening? Labubu dolls, that's what. Creepy cute little monsters with fluffy bodies and razor-sharp grins. Originally created by Hong Kong artist Ka Sing Lung for his picture book series Monsters. They were turned into figurines in 2019 as part of a collaboration with toy makers Pop Mart. Since then, their popularity has skyrocketed, especially in bag charm form. Everyone wants one. Why are they in the news? Last week, Pop Mart decided to pull the toys from all 16 of its UK shops until June, citing potential safety issues. Many fans have responded angrily, but only have themselves to blame. The announcement followed a fight. We were making jokes about people killing each other over these on Black Friday, but this actually happened. There was a fight that reportedly broke out in a London store. People had queued overnight to obtain the latest Labubu editions. People were shouting, basically saying there were no more Labubus left. One customer told the BBC, I even witnessed a fight between a worker and a customer. Oh no. Hey, if two Labubu crazed fans want to fight each other, go for it. Do not attack a worker. They just work at the damn store. They don't control supply. They're getting paid £7 an hour. You don't leave them alone. What's driving this craziness? Brainworms. But also, TikTok. The trend took off after Lisa, a member of the popular K-pop band Blackpink, I knew, damn you Blackpink, was seen with one on her bag. At the time of writing, there are 1.4 million posts under Labubu, with people excitedly sharing their collections, unboxing, and even crocheting their own versions. In an age where most things are mass-produced, easily obtainable, Pop Art's blind boxes or limited edition drops are exciting in their spontaneity. How much is a Labubu? In the UK, they tend to cost anywhere between 13.5 pounds or 16 euros to 50 pounds or 59 euros. Although rare editions can be even more. One of the main reasons for the recent chaos is resellers, who frantically buy up new drops purely to hike up the price, leaving genuine buyers out of luck and frustrated. That's usually why you have to make a one per purchase thing. They do that at like the Pokemon store. It's like, oh, we have limited edition starter Pokemon. You can only buy 3, and they can't be all the same. You can only buy 3 of different plushies of this thing. Otherwise, we know you're going to be reselling. And, let's be honest, big companies like Pokemon do not like resellers. They don't get that money, right? Somebody is making a profit off of their thing. Mm-hmm. So they definitely try to stop reselling. Okay, but can we talk about the fact that grown adults are getting upset over toys? Well, I'll be honest, as a millennial, let's just say we were never allowed to grow up. As soon as we were tossed into the world of adults, it all collapsed in the 2008 economy, the housing crisis. And I think ever since then, we've had to have a lot of cope, and that coping tends to go towards, you remember when we were children and we didn't think our entire life was a lie. So I think a lot of millennials are. I'm sure there's a study out there, but as a millennial myself, I want to say we're all very young at heart still. We all want to return back to the days.
That's my least favorite.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite cope, is the one that's always turning generations against each other. Like there's some monolithic thing that only belongs to one generation.
I'm not saying we're a monolith, but I'm just saying there's definitely a trend of millennials being younger at heart than others, perhaps. I mean, there's also a trend of Gen X being just dead inside, so whether that's true, up to you.
I'm neither a boomer nor Gen X. What am I? I'm neither one, man.
Yeah.
You're I don't identify as it.
A Bexer, a Bookser. You're a Bookser.
Bookser. Yeah,
I'm a Zillennial myself, right? I'm born right at the cusp of Zoomer and right at the end of millennial, so I'm a Zillennial.
Right. To me, boomers, at least male boomers, were the ones that stood a chance to being drafted to Vietnam, and that's my cutoff.
Yeah.
So, my brother Rick was the last of my brothers that could have been drafted, and they ended the draft in 1973 when I was 13. So I was never going to get drafted.
Yeah.
That's my cutoff point. So you go back 8 years from my birthday, and that's basically where I think the cutoff point is. For boomers, Generation X or whatever generation you want to call the next one, that's fine. I don't know what the hell they're supposed to be. You said they don't care, they're dead inside? Is that what it is? Could be.
That's a stereotype, obviously. Also, hello from Louisiana. Hello from the Netherlands and Maryland, I guess.
Right on. Okay, then.
But let's talk about who is getting upset over toys. Sure. But don't you know that we're in the midst of a plushy pandemic? From jellycats to squishmallows, adults have become key consumers of all things cute. Especially since you're probably, when you couldn't get those as a kid yourself. That's what I tend to see as well. That's another option, right? I didn't have money. My parents didn't have money and they were going to buy me that stuff. So now I'm going to buy them as an adult. And live my childhood vicariously. According to research group Circana, 1 in 5 toys and games are now bought by over 18s for themselves. It's a rapidly growing market known as kidults, and led by a mixture of things like people having children later and overwhelming existential anxiety. Relatable. The world is on fire, might as well buy some weird little guys to cope. But why are they so scary looking? That's their appeal. The combination of sweet and sinister. Another example of this is a hugely popular Sunny Angels, cherubic little figurines wearing themed bonnets and no pants. Sure, they sound whimsical, but if you look closely enough at their perfectly poised arms and sideways glances, they're plotting something.
Oh.
But it's often these subtle, unnerving, bizarre elements of certain toys that make them stand out. The expression in outfits and characterful and are endlessly adaptable. So, sounds like Labubu got this whole kidult thing in the bag. On the bag, more like. Right. Speaking of which, your bag's looking a little lonely with that one. Don't even think about it. Don't buy a Labubu, and don't punch any freaking store workers because of it.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed this trend, I've definitely noticed it on seeing on some of my shorts, right? People doing funny memes about Labubu dolls. I'm like, what the hell is this? Now we know. Now you're educated, and now you can go out and make your judgments with at least the knowledge of what's going on. I'm okay with making judgments as long as you know what you're talking about. So you guys are allowed now. Give me a Labubu haiku, boo. Boo.
I had to cut one syllable off the boo-boos to make it fit in the 7 syllables, but here goes. It says, can't afford kids' toys? Boo-boo dolls are on TikTok, says Donnie 2 Dolls.
Buy them now! Buy them! You can't afford your rent, but at least you have your Labubu dolls. Opium.
That's right. Well, for those who aren't familiar with the quote from Donnie, Diaper Donnie, they started calling him Donnie 2 Dolls because he said, oh, you're all gonna just not gonna have as much money this year. Instead of $30 at Christmas, you're gonna get 2. Like, you can tell he thought being a parent was buying your daughter $30 at Christmas.
Wow. Like, what I was even gonna do with that many dolls? I can't even think about it. Goodness. The
picture in my head immediately, you want to know the picture in my head, is Ivanka's closet when she's a child, completely piled with Barbie dolls without heads, right, in the closet. Right? If you open the closet, here comes Barbie dolls pouring out, and here comes the heads right behind them. Yeah, I'm just saying. That's the picture in my head. Totally spoiled children. Don't give a crap about this stuff. So, spin the wheel.
We've got a haiku for this day in history.
This day in history. Perhaps wrap this up early for a Friday. May 30th on this day. Whoopity-doo. Here we go. All the way back. Let's see. How far are we going back? How far? Whoa, it keeps going. We're in 1800s. 1300s we're going back to. In 1381, on this day, an unpopular poll tax helped spark the Peasants' Revolt. One of my favorite revolutions in the history of the world is the Peasants' Revolt, where they just, again, along with the French Revolution, started chopping off the heads of noblemen and tax collectors. Yeah! Anyway, the first great popular rebellion in the English history. Love it. 1806, Andrew Jackson, who later served as President of the United States,
continued being a shitty guy.
Shot. No, he was doing Andrew Jackson things. He faithfully shot Charles Dickinson. Yeah. Right. But anyway, Andrew Jackson on this day, this is totally shocking. I mean, this is one of these things you think about. It's like, anyway, well, considering he was a general and all that crap, look, doesn't really shock you. But anyway, Andrew Jackson, who later served as President of the United States, fatally shot Charles Dickinson in a duel. During his life, Jackson was involved in numerous duels. Some accounts estimate 100. Many of them were in defense of his wife, Rachel. So, yeah, Rachel, I had to kill another guy today.
Was she that hot? Like, what?
You can look her up. She was a tart, apparently. But, she was a watery tot, distributing swords. Anyway, 1814. The first of the treaties of Paris was signed, ending the Napoleonic Wars. Of course, they didn't actually.
I do have to say, she does not look good, even in her photos. So I'm not sure why people were after her, but different time, I guess.
Probably, I think because she was a divorcee. I think that might, or she was super young or something. Anyway, or she had a big mouth on her or something. Who knows? Who knows the people, right? Who knows about wags? People, whatever. It was Andrew Jackson.
No, I've got here we go. I got some. She was subject to malicious rumors. So, she was known as a vivacious young woman. So she was sleeping around. So people were probably calling her a slut to Andrew Jackson, and he was like, "How dare you call my wife a slut? We shall duel at sunrise." And that's probably what it was.
That's a mistake you make one time. One time you make the mistake of calling Andrew Jackson's wife a slut. And like I said, you only make that mistake one time. You get a chance to make it a second time. 1909, American jazz musician and band leader Benny Goodman, who was known as the King of Swing, was born. Benny Goodman. He really good songs like Begin to Begin, I believe. 1911, the first Indianapolis 500 automobile race was won in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it was won by Ray Horan in about 6 hours and 42 minutes. Do it quick. 500 miles in 6 hours is a little, that's not 100 miles an hour, but whatever, it's close, right? Almost 7 hours, actually. So it's like 70. They're averaging all over 70, I think. So, they're averaging over 70 miles an hour. Of course, you had pit stops, and cars really weren't that fast in 1911, right? Top speed was probably 100. 1922, the Lincoln Memorial honoring, what's it? This is a new word, honoring. The Lincoln Memorial honoring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, was dedicated in Washington, D.C. on this day 103 years ago, 1922. And the virtues of tolerance, honesty, and constancy in the human spirit. There you go. 1925, 100 years ago today, was the May 30th incident, not the May 13th, that made no sense. The May 30th incident, in which 12 labor demonstrators were killed by British police in Shanghai, sparking nationwide strikes and protests in China. And we're wondering, well, the British Empire doing stupid shit. 1942, during World War II, the British Royal Air Force dispatched more than 1,000 bombers against Cologne, Germany. Yep, bombing Cologne. This is after the Dunkirk debacle. 1961, Rafael Trujillo, an army officer who had become dictator of the Dominican Republic following the military revolt in 1930, was assassinated. In Dominican Republic, yes, sir.
Oh no, a dictator assassinated. What a shame.
Yeah, army officer couldn't run the country, pissed everybody off.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's right. FAFO. In 2012, on this day, Charles Taylor, the former president of Liberia, was sentenced to 50 years in prison after being convicted of crimes against humanity, war crimes that were committed during Sierra Leone's civil war. Crimes against humanity. See that? We can send presidents to prison. It's been done. Oh, what the hell happened there? Oh, crazy shit. I held the key down too long trying to scroll. 1 year ago today, Sticky the Clown became the first former U.S. president to be convicted of a crime after a New York jury found him guilty of 34 felony counts in connection with a hush money payment in 2016 to adult film star Stephanie Clifford, who, known as Stormy Daniels, who claimed to have an affair with Trump in 2026. And that leads to the joke. The only person that Trump has ever hired who is competent at their job is Stormy Daniels. This day in history, May 30th, as featured event is 1431, way back before civilization got smart. Well, smarter anyway. We are in the age of stupid. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake, having led the French army in a momentous victory over England in Orleans during the 100 Years' War, which lasted 113 years. Joan of Arc was charged with heresy and witchcraft, and on this day was burned at the stake in 1431. So I believe she was like 17 or something.
The people in charge of the church do not like other people creating their own ideas of what you should do. That's why she was killed, by the way. A girl trying to tell us what to do with our religion. How dare she? Kill her now. She's a heretic.
Yep. Never mind all them victories in war she led you to. You know, it was English that frickin' executed her, wasn't it? Anyway, was it English or the French? I want to say it was the English. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
What was?
There's a great statue of her in Paris, though.
She's French.
What's that? Yeah, she's French, but who burned her?
The French.
Was it a French or English? The French.
It was a French thing. It was all French. They're the ones to blame.
Oui. County Cullen is our featured biography. He's a American poet, and from the looks of his picture, African-American poet. Born May 30th, 1903 in Louisville, died in 1946, January 9th, in New York City, at the age of 42. Wow, people just didn't live long those days. I heard the birthdays today. We did Benny Goodman. It's Helen Sharman's birthday, British chemist and astronaut. It's CeeLo Green, American singer, rapper, and songwriter. Of course, the one song I know by CeeLo Green is "Fuck You," which he changed. What did he change it to? "Forget You" or something like that. In 1975, Marisa Meyer was born. She's 1975, American software engineer and businessman. I'm not sure if she's related to John Mayer. Could be. Hopefully she kills fascists too. And 1980 is Steven Gerrard's birthday, English football player. And happy birthday to him. Those are your birthdays. And our National Day calendar is to wrap up the week. It's National Creativity Day, and we are creative here. We write our own poetry, for God's sake. You name a podcast, YouTube channel, anybody that just bam, whips up poetry at the drop of a hat. There isn't one. We're the only one. It's also National Loomis Day,
special.
which I don't know why. That's right. You ain't getting this. And again, it's free. You're not even paying for it. Just like, hey, we're just doing this as a favor to you wonderful people out there. It's National Mint Julep Day, which makes me wonder, because mint juleps are the drink of the Kentucky Derby, which was run about a month ago. Why wasn't that National Mint Julep Day? Oh well, you missed an opportunity to sell mint juleps like crazy, but there you go. And it's National Hole in My Bucket Day. That's one of your more famous songs. My bucket's got a hole in it. You know, that song. We played, I think, a couple of years ago. We did our last year. We might have done the mic drop of Robert Plant singing that song, Led Zeppelin.
I don't remember. So long ago, a year ago.
We could play it again. And it's National Water a Flower Day, which is pertinent with your story on water. So we looked up National Loomis Days, and we'll figure out what the hell that is. And my computer's going to start making noise again, so get ready for that. Oh, it's muted.
Loading.
Muted, good. Loomis Day recognizes Mahlon Loomis, the person who received the patent for the wireless telegraphy, receiving U.S. patent improvement in telegraphing. Mahlon Loomis, 1826 to 1886, only be 60. During his life, became known as the most celebrated inventor of his time. It looks like he introduced or invented a way to key, like the telegraph key, the little thing that you tap. All right, those are your days. Those are your histories, your mispronunciations, your news wrap-ups, your news dump, all that crap for today, Friday, May 30th, 2025, on Before Creativity, I guess.
Okay, and here are my 3 haikus for our This Day in History. In maiden's heart, a flame burns bright. Joan in darkness takes her flight. Ashes whisper tales of light. The nobles tremble.
He made it rhyme.
The power that lies within the masses. A force unleashed. That's for the peasants' revolt. Beneath the sun's warm glow, the bucket, once whole, now has leaks. A metaphor for life. So there's a hole in my bucket. And sometimes you just gotta let it pour, pour, pour. And sometimes you can stop the bucket from pouring. But it's all in your hands as a human being. Here's your haikus.
Nice.
Okay.
That's really good.
Let's look at our international observances. We've got International Day of Potato. That's right. Potato. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. That's one crop.
Oh my.
Much potential. The United Nations wants everyone to celebrate the millennial old food, which comes from South America. That's right. It doesn't even exist in Europe. It's made its way to Europe in the 16th century. And then it spread around the world. And now everyone's making crazy potato dishes, adding it to their stews. It's just everywhere. It's become a core crop of the human experience. So make sure you keep the climate friendly, potato friendly, and let this crop live on. Taking all that nitrogen and putting it back in the soil. That's why we love potatoes. They're great for the soil.
Haters.
Continue rotating your stuff and rotating your crops. And of course, yet again, I'll remind you before the weekend ends, World No Tobacco Day from the WHO is tomorrow. So Speaking of canceling smoking on beaches and parks in France, why don't you cancel tobacco from your life tomorrow? Yep, get rid of
another crop that
Yep.
that America got Europe hooked on.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Potatoes, sugar, tobacco. Oh man, we got it all here.
The thing about tobacco is it's not edible. It doesn't provide any nutrients. It just creates a nicotine addiction, and then you suddenly think, doesn't life feel better when I'm smoking? That's because you're addicted to nicotine. So make sure you put that tobacco down. Maybe don't cut cold turkey because withdrawal symptoms are very difficult to handle. But try to claim your right to health and healthy living and protect future generations from secondhand smoke and asthma and cancer and all that shit that tobacco causes.
Yep. I'll repeat the Steve Martin joke where he said, I always say when somebody says, hey, mind if I smoke? I always say, hey, mind if I fart? Anyway.
And of course, it's still the Solidarity with Peoples of Non-Self-Governing Territories Week, and that will be until tomorrow. So continue being aware that there are countries out there who do not have any choice of what happens to their country because they're under another country, like America Samoa, right? They're trying to do seabed mining near America Samoa, which I'm sure those people on the island really love that idea. Let's destroy the ocean for some whatever we can find down there. I don't know, oil, probably oil. Let's be honest. And that is the show. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been Allison from the Netherlands and Roger from the East Coast of the US as we tie up another week, another Friday, and I hope you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe out there, drink water, wear sunscreen. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Allie and Raj, so you know when we go live and post a before copy episode. If you missed any day, they're all on there on the YouTube channel. You can watch, you can get knowledge, because this stuff happens and the news changes every day, all the time, but there's still some important things out there that you should learn about. And let's go to our Coochie Coo mic drop moment.
We're gonna do a
Baby.
Edgar Winter.
Baby language.
This is Edgar Winter.
Derringer.
Albino soul, by the way, Edgar Winter.
Here we go.
He's an albino. Him and his brother Baby.
Yeah, very classic rock intro. And this is actually live, it sounds like.
Right, this is Midnight Special. They didn't do a lot of dubs. They would dub in some instruments, that's about it. I think I know why he was not a bigger star. He looks like he's extremely short. And I don't know if there's any short rock stars. I'm just saying, if he stands next... Edgar Winter's only 5'11", and look how tall Edgar Winter is next to him.
I think he has a really good voice.
He does, and he can really play, too. This is the Edgar Winter group, by the way. This is the band he was in. He was in Johnny Winter's group for a little while, and Johnny Winter went into rehab because he was,
rock and roll lifestyle.
And, that's right. And I don't think Edgar ever got the habit, so Edgar stayed clean. So he joined Edgar's band because Johnny didn't have a freaking, he wasn't doing anything. And then his career took off, man. He still was touring with Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
Chiku. Best hook in rock and roll.
But he's a good example of you don't need to be the star to have a successful life, right? He was just a, studio musician, and he did well for himself.
How would you just like to be the person that sprung Weird Al on the world, right? Think about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a legacy.
According to the biopic starring Daniel Radcliffe, it was all Madonna who got him on the star. When she took over that drug ring.
That's just Weird Al's humor. Weird Al making a parody of a biopic, right? That's what it is. He does parodies. That's all he does.
We love a standing keyboardist.
Edgar Winter invented that, by the way. He invented that. He's the one who invented the strap-on keyboard.
Gonna need a sighting for that, but I believe you, I guess. I wasn't there.
I'm curious. Nobody was doing it before him. I never saw it before.
Yeah, I mean, the guitar riff of the song is just so catchy.
And the hook, too. Look how young that guitar player behind him is. He looks like he's 12. Which could line up, because Edgar Winter didn't care. He just hired you if you were good, right? Edgar Winter played everything, by the way. He played every instrument.
Yeah, people love music. I mean, music is one of the best things humans ever invented. The only other things that do music is birds, right? And that's not even really music, right?
It's one of the universal languages, even among animals, right? And animals will calm down. Animals will calm for music.
Yeah, they'll be like, what the hell's going on?
Videos of cows being attracted to accordions and violins and trombones. Light my fuse, baby. Of course, this song is all about sex. The whole entire song is just one euphemism for sex. So there you are.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.